Very good.
Good. Mr. Davis, you can hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. This is People of the State of Michigan versus Charleston Davis, docket number 21-19FH. And Mr. Davis, I have you living on Mark Twain Street. Is that still a good address?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How far did you go in school?
I got my GED.
Very good. Do you work right now?
No, not right now, ma'am.
Okay. Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, you have the right to be represented by an attorney. You are represented by Mr. Cornish. And Mr. Cornish, this is a plea to the charge, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor, yes.
Okay, Ms. Allen, would you read the charge, please?
In the People of the State of Michigan versus Charleston Davis, file 21-19-FH, State of Michigan, County of Ingham. In the name of the people of the State of Michigan, the prosecuting attorney for this county appears before the court and informs the court that on or about October 15, 2020, at South Waverly Road and Old Lansing Road, City of Lansing, Ingham County, the defendant did in count 1 commit the offense of carrying a concealed weapon. That he did carry a dangerous weapon, to wit, a pistol, whether concealed or otherwise in a vehicle operated or occupied by said defendant, to wit, a 2004 Chevrolet Impala, contrary to Michigan law. This is a felony punishable by up to 5 years or $2,500, mandatory forfeiture of weapon or device, and was committed against the peace and dignity of the state of Michigan.
Mr. Davis, you're being charged here with what's known as carrying a pistol in an automobile. That is a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison. And if you were on parole at the time of the offense, it would be a mandatory consecutive sentence. Have you had enough time to talk about this charge with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand the charge against you?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about what we're doing?
No, ma'am.
And how do you want to plead?
Guilty.
If your plea of guilty is accepted by this court, it means you won't have a trial of any kind, and you'll be giving up the rights that go along with a trial. Those rights are the right to have a trial by jury, or if you didn't want trial by jury, trial by judge. So you'll be giving up your right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, and to require the prosecutor to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You'll give up your right to have the witnesses against you appear at the trial and to be able to cross-examine them, as well as the right to have this court order any witnesses that you might have to appear at the trial. You'll give up your right to remain silent at trial and not to have your silence used against you, or if you wanted to testify at the trial. Also, there are some things about an appeal that are different when you plead guilty. One is that you don't get an automatic right to appeal your case to the higher court. Instead, you have to ask them to hear your case and they would have to agree to hear it. And the other thing is that there are many issues that you cannot appeal after a guilty plea that you could appeal if you went to trial and got convicted. Do you understand those rights, Mr. Davis?
Yes, ma'am.
Also, if I accept your plea, it means you cannot come back later on and try to say that the plea was the result of some promise or threat that no one told me about today. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
It also means you cannot come back later on and try to say that it really wasn't your own choice to plead guilty today. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a plea agreement, Ms. Allen?
There is, Your Honor. Today, the defendant is tendering a guilty plea to count 1. There's a sentence agreement pursuant to People versus Killebrew that the defendant receives no upfront jail. We also don't have an objection to him petitioning for the treatment under the Holmes Youthful Training Act.
And Mr. Cornish, is that a full and complete statement?
Yes, Your Honor, it is. Thank you.
And Mr. Davis, is that your understanding of the agreement also?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you agree with it?
Yes, ma'am.
There's an agreement about your sentence, and that is that you would receive no upfront jail time. If for some reason I decided not to go along with that, I would tell you before I sentenced you, and I'd give you a chance if you wanted to take back this plea and start over. You got that?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything else that has not been said here right now in order to get you to plead guilty?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone used any threats?
No, ma'am.
Is it your own choice to do this?
Yes, it is, ma'am.
And are you doing it because you believe you are in fact guilty of this offense?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then tell me about October 15 of last year. You had a pistol with you?
I did.
Tell me about that.
I was driving. I was leaving the store, and I turned left, I believe, on Waverly, and I got pulled over at a light on Waverly and Old Lansing, I believe.
Okay, where was the gun?
It was on my seat, in the driver's seat.
Okay, and you knew that it was there?
I did.
And it was in fact a pistol, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And this happened in the area of, you already said, I think Waverly, South Waverly and Old Lansing Road in Lansing, Ingham County, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, has the court complied with MCR 6.302, Ms. Allen?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cornish?
Yes, it has, Your Honor.
Are you aware of any promises, threats, or inducements other than those already placed on the record, Ms. Allen?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Cornish?
None from the defense, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, the court finds the plea is understandingly, voluntarily, and knowingly made without undue influence, threats, or promises of leniency. It is an accurate plea. It's supported by the testimony. The plea is accepted, and sentencing is April 12th at 3:15. Mr. Cornish, is that okay for you?
It should be fine, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. Davis, I can take your plea by Zoom, but I can only do a sentencing by Zoom if you agree to it. Do you think you'll agree to that?
You do the sentencing over Zoom like
Yeah.
we're doing now?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll do the sentencing by Zoom on April 12th at 3:15. And then, Mr. Davis, you should just know that the probation department's going to be contacting you. They need to set up an interview, and they don't do it in person, but they'll set up an interview that they need to have in order to prepare the report that I'll use for sentencing. If you don't hear from them in the next couple of days, you are instructed to call the adult probation department and tell them you need to set up that interview. Their number is 483-6100. 483-6100.
483-6100.
6100, Okay, your bond is continued, Mr. Davis. And you are all set.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.